Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Lauren, and in this video I'll be sharing with you the recording of the live question and answer session that I did over on the Instagram platform on Monday the 3rd of July 2023. So I'm going to be answering all of your questions, asking for help and advice and recommendations on your sewing and dressmaking projects. I've got various different really lovely fabrics from around the shop to share with you as well, so hopefully lots of inspiration to be had if you're planning a dressmaking project this summer. So you'll see me read out any questions or comments that are coming up live during the chat as well, just so you've got a little bit of context about what is getting chatted about. But if you are watching here on YouTube and there's something that you want to add that I can share in a future session, or you've got a question for me that you'd like to cover in another session, then you can leave a comment on this video, or you can email the shop as well, or if you do use Instagram you can send me a direct message there as well. So plenty of ways to get in touch if you are looking for a little bit of help and advice. So I'm going to switch over to the live video now. I hope you enjoy it and I'll see you very soon. Lovely to see you all, and I've got all your questions ready, so I'll be answering them and showing you some of the new fabrics and hopefully lots of inspiration if you're planning a dressmaking project. So if you haven't seen it already, I did do a new fabrics video this weekend, so I sort of rounded up all of the new arrivals that we'd had in the shop over June and sort of showed you all of them up close and everything. So you can see that on the YouTube channel. That's a really good place to see all of the new fabrics, but of course the just arrived section is always like a nice summary as well, because we've got videos on all of the fabric listings too. Then that can give you a really good sense of what a fabric's like. But lovely to see you joining from all over the place. Toulouse in Sweden and Torquay, sorry. Lovely to be able to get into the shop on Saturday. That's good. Thank you for visiting. So yeah, I do have some new, I'm going to show you some new fabrics. Not going to show you all of them because they are all in the video, and there was quite a few new ones from last week, but yeah, I am going to show you some of them as everybody else is just joining us, and then I will get on to all of the questions. But if you ever miss your question, or maybe you're not watching live and you want to know if your question is answered or not, when I upload the video onto YouTube, so I usually do that on Tuesdays, then I always add little timestamp chapters of all of the questions that I cover, so it means you could always like skip and find your question if you're not able to watch the whole thing live, or whatever, you come late. So the first ones I wanted to show you is like a new little range of sportswear fabric that we've got. Somebody was asking me if it was suitable for swimwear. It wasn't marketed to me as swimwear fabric. I suspect you probably could. I think it's probably made of like the same kind of stuff that swimwear is made from, but I would just be conscious that it's maybe not been the chlorine resistance of it's probably not been tested. So yeah, I'm gonna say I don't think it is, only because it wasn't really like marketed or sold to me as swimwear fabric. It was sportswear fabric. But there's a couple of prints, and then we've got a few plains to coordinate it. So somebody was asking if it could be used for the Helen's Closet Avery leggings, and I do think you definitely could use it for that. But I think it would also look really nice. I don't know any patterns off the top of my head, but yeah, if you look at it's Melissa Fairtrade who does all of the lots of different sportswear patterns, and I know that there are some, you know, where it's like different panels, or you can have contrast parts in it. So that's why I wanted to get some plains to go with the prints, because I think they would look really nice together. So I'm trying to work out a way that I can kind of hold them and show you all together. But basically we've got this one here. This is Northern Lights, so it's kind of like the Northern Lights with these greens and blues and stuff. And then this one here is like kind of pinks and purplies, which is very nice, sort of like galactic and like space. And then we've got lilac that goes really nicely with that. See, I think they would tone really lovely together. And then we've also got another printed one, which is this one here, and I think that the lilac would go really nice with that as well. And also then we've got a navy, which is just navy's navy, isn't it? Surely you know what that's like. So the navy also looks really good with this one as well. So quite a few different options for mix and match there. Yeah, somebody's asking if it could be for swimwear. I was just talking about that. I'm going to say no, only because it wasn't sold to me as swimwear, and so I wouldn't be able to verify how like chlorine resistant it is. But if you wanted to make like a bikini or a swimsuit and you're predominantly going to be sunbathing in it and you're not really going to be doing lots of swimming in it, then you probably could, yes. But yeah, just it's because it wasn't sold to me as swimwear fabric, I wouldn't know how chlorine resistant it is, and I wouldn't want to say yes and then you make something and then it starts to just sort of disintegrate when you go into chlorinated water. So yeah, looking to use it for golf, skirts and dresses. That sounds really nice. Lovely. That is a good idea. So yeah, that's the little sportswear range that we've got. And then the other ones, I'm just going to pop these to the side because they're quite big and bulky and heavy. They're taking up space on my little table here. The other ones that I've got are all of the ex-designer fabrics that I was talking about last week. I said they'd arrived that day. So they're all on the website now. And they're really lovely, so I'll show you some of them. This one here is very unusual. It's got really lovely stripe that goes like all the way across it, and I would say that you could, it's kind of almost like double-sided in a way. It's just like a little bit more dull and kind of darker on this side than it is compared to this side. So this one is the striped yarn dyed cotton fabric, so it's 100% cotton. It's more of like a kind of medium weight cotton, but I think it would be really nice. It's not see-through at all, so nice and versatile. You could use it for a skirt or a dress or a nice shirt and like maybe alternate the direction of the stripes as well. So yeah, that's a really fun sort of different one. Somebody's saying sold on the animal print one in the Averys. Yeah, that'll look really nice. That'll look lovely. And then we've also got this one here, which is the classic chambray cotton linen fabric. So it's 65 cotton and 35 linen. So it's one of the threads is white and the other is blue. So that's where the chambray comes from. So it's almost like sort of two-tone appearance. And I would say it's really nice and versatile. You could use it to make jumpsuits or trousers or like little shirt dresses. So yeah, a really lovely one there. Just a nice classic one. And then this one here is another just sort of lovely textured one, very crisp. It's cotton as well, and it's probably like a little bit more structured. I would say I think we've called it off-white only because it's not like a really bright optic white. But yeah, when you get into the kind of area of things being like cream or off-white or ivory, it's all very subjective, and yeah, it is, you know, different lights can make things look different. So yeah, my advice always is, if you're looking for like a very specific shade of white or off-white, is always just get a sample before you commit to buying it, if you've got a very particular image of like what shade you want. But yeah, I think this would be really nice for a lovely like crisp shirt as well. It's really, or like a simple little top. It's a really nice one. And then the next two would be good for maybe some like nice smart trousers or something. This one here, it's got these pinstripes on it. It's a cotton twill, so it's got that weave and that texture on it where it's almost like sort of diagonal lines that you see on it when you look closely. That's what a twill weave is like. It's definitely more medium weight as well. It doesn't have any stretch in it, so it would need to be a pattern that's not calling for any stretch. You know, there's lots of different ones, but for example, the Merchant and Mills Eve would be nice. It'd be like a nice sort of smart pair of trousers there. But yeah, another nice smart one. And then this one I think is really lovely as well, if you're looking to make something that looks a bit smarter. This is the monochrome mini houndstooth cotton linen fabric. So it's 84 cotton, 14 linen and 2% elastane, but it is, you know, it is a woven fabric. I think a nice little blazer would be nice in that. You could make trousers out of it as well, and I think it would be it would look really lovely and smart. So when you look really closely, it's probably hard to pick up on the camera, but it's like the little sort of classic houndstooth weave to it, but very small. Normally houndstooth is on a bit of a bigger scale, but yeah, another really lovely one there. And then possibly my favourite one out of all of them, you might have seen that I posted this on the grid on Instagram on Saturday, is this one here, which is the cool droplet tufted Adobe cotton fabric. This is really, really lovely. So it's got these spots woven into it, and they're sort of in greeny and bluey colours. And then on the back, it's kind of fluffy a little bit. So it's actually quite similar to the fabric I'm wearing. So this is, we've got this in stock as well. It's been really popular, but we do still have some in stock right now. Sorry I didn't bring the roll over to show you, so I can't actually read out the specific name. And now, of course, I'm forgetting what it's actually called. But if you can't find it on the website, just send me a direct message and I'll send you a link to it. But yeah, this is like Adobe spot as well, but I've used it, see how I've used it with the fluffy side sticking out. So I think you could do the same with this fabric. You could just sort of choose whether you wanted that kind of fluffier texture side facing out, or whether you wanted the smoother, flatter side. I suspect that whatever designer used this, I don't know what they actually made, but I suspect they probably used it with the smooth side facing out. But I definitely think that either would look good. I would just suggest probably being consistent with it. But yeah, what I've made with this one, someone's asking, it's the Fibre Mood normal blouse, but I lengthened the sleeves a little bit, and I also lengthened the bodice as well, just so that I was able to tuck it in. Because I wanted to be able to wear it to tuck in. Are they suitable for the next fabric wearing and the one holding? Yeah, I think they would be. I've only ever made the necks in a viscose before, and the necks is quite oversized, and it's got quite a lot of gathers. So obviously in a viscose they sort of drape and hang a little bit more. Both of these ones are cotton, so they will sort of hold their structure a little bit more. So I would definitely maybe have a look at some of the reviews and see what people have said about sizing down, because I sized down 2 sizes when I made the necks, and it might maybe you might feel like you want to do that as well, especially in a fabric that's a little bit more structured. But it's all just, you know, it's all personal preference, so I would suggest having a look around. But yeah, you could use them for the next 2. What pattern would you recommend for a first go at fitted trousers, and do you have any tips for getting the fit right? So I would say if you're like really new to fitting trousers and you're kind of, you know, you're sort of feeling maybe like a bit worried about it, or you're not really sure what to expect, you just have to try something and give it a go. So don't, you know, even just use calico or like an old bed sheet or something. Just try something, because it's if you suspect that you're going to have to make alterations or, you know, change the pattern in some way, and you're not really experienced at that, it's going to be quite hard for you to work out what to do unless you actually just make a pair of trousers and then try and see what it looks like. There's loads of different resources out there that I haven't personally used it, but I hear a lot of people talk about it as the top down center down top out, or top down center. Oh, somebody will tell me what it is, the right phrase for it. But it's a really popular method of fitting trousers, and there's lots of resources on that as well. But another resource that I found that was very simple to understand, and it broke it down really well, is that Closet Core have a free guide that you can download that's on they call it pants fitting because it's the North American, but you know, trouser fitting, and it sort of tells you common things that you can look out for and then how to make those adjustments, and it's quite, without getting like really overwhelmed of lots of different things that you could do. It just sort of breaks it down, simplifies it a little bit more. Top down, center out. Thank you. I knew someone would be able to tell me what it was. So yeah, the top down, center out is a popular way of fitting trousers as well. So it might be that you have a look at that as well. Okay, so yeah, that was the summary of new ones that I was going to show you. But as I said, I did on Saturday, I uploaded that new fabrics video to YouTube as well, so you can always check that out. And there's all the fabrics I mentioned on there, and blog post that goes with it as well. Okay, so on to your questions that you sent in beforehand, and if you've got any as I'm chatting along, feel free to write them down, and then I'll try and sort of catch up with them as well. Somebody's just asked here, what fabric do you recommend for the Persephone pants that isn't denim? We have either because it needs to be non-stretch for the Persephone, that's an Anna Allen pattern. I would probably say we've got I think it's the sanded twill. We used that for the other Anna Allen, what were they called? What were those other Anna Allen pants that we did? Oh God, for some reason I'm not remembering the names of stuff tonight. Philippa pants. So yeah, we used that for the Philippa pants. It would also be good for the Persephone, and we had it in a navy and a black and like a stone, a neutral colour. But I do actually also think that the Bedford cord would work nicely in the Persephone too, so you could try that. They've got like a good amount of structure. They're nice structured fabrics that don't stretch, and I think they would hold the shape of the Persephone really well. Somebody's saying the closet core article is very useful. Please show us the window, a sneak peek. So yeah, the window's behind me here. I should have said that in the beginning. The amazing new window display that Joe put in at the end of last week. So I'll give you a little peek here. So I have filmed a video for it. I just haven't had the chance to edit it yet and do the blog post for it, but it is on my list to do for this week. But yeah, there's lots of garments in it and these really amazing capes which look even better from the other side. They're all, this is obviously the back because it faces out into the street. But yeah, it's really, really, really nice. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have like a proper tour for you with lots of photos and videos and everything. The chambray might be nice for the Persephone pants. Yes, maybe. I haven't actually made them with anything that's as lightweight as that, but I think it probably could work. I'm having difficulty with the Vario pliers. It crushes the spokes and sticky up bits using a woven fabric, and I've tried both jersey and woven poppers. Any advice appreciated? Without sort of like knowing exactly what you're doing and what tool set you're doing, because it might be maybe that you don't have the tool sets not correct, or you're not sort of lined it up in the right way. But I do have a video that is about the Vario pliers, and it talks you through all the different things that you can use with it. And I've also got a blog post that goes with that video as well, so it might be worth looking at the video and the blog post and just double checking that you've definitely got it all, the tool set up correctly for each thing that you're using. But yeah, I would suggest checking that out. But otherwise, if you want to send me photos of what tool set you're using with what popper, I can tell you if it looks right or not. Okay, so actually before the questions, there was one sort of point of contribution from the recording that I put of last week's live on YouTube. So because somebody was asking about dresses that you can make with 1.5 meters. So a dress from 1.5 meters, if you are in a smaller size, the sleeveless Megan Nielsen Darling ranges might work, or a Gilbert shirt dress hack using a contrast cord for the inner yoke. So thank you for your input there. Okay, so the questions here are: I'm making the Esma top by Blank Slate Patterns. I'm doing the version with the band and tie front. It says to interface both pieces of the band tie, but I'm feeling this may be too stiff. Would it be better to use a light interfacing instead of a medium, or could I interface with some cotton lawn instead? Also, I want to bispine the V-neck, and can I ask if you have done a tutorial on this? I couldn't find one, only for a round neck. So yeah, I would say that if you've got a fabric that's like fairly stable and it's already got like a decent bit of structure, I wouldn't say you need to interface all the tie. You could, if it's made up of like two sections, you could just, like a front and back, you should just interface one of them maybe. Or it might be that you don't interface it at all. When we did the Fibre Mood Arlette skirt as a kit, and it's a wraparound skirt that's got a tie, we didn't put any interfacing in the ties at all because we wanted them to sort of be able to hang and drape really nicely, and we thought that putting interfacing in it might affect that. So yeah, you don't have to put the interfacing in. I would say bispining on a V neckline, I don't have a tutorial for that. It is probably quite tricky to do, to get it like sitting neat at the V. I would suggest that you do a facing, but if you don't really want like a flappy facing flapping around, what you could do is sew the facing on and then trim it back so that the facing's not as broad. and then so it becomes like really quite a narrow facing, and then you could just top stitch it down instead. And I would say that's probably going to give you a bit of a better, cleaner, neater finish than trying to bias bind a V-neck, because it can just be like really susceptible to stretching out, and getting it neat at that V with the bias binding is going to be tricky as well. Okay, so the next question was, I'd love to know how you choose your fabrics for the Sewing Society kits. Do you make up samples in different fabrics to see how they look, or do you wait until you have selected the fabrics? So quite often there's like various ways I would say that we choose the fabric for the kits, because sometimes we'll have like something really specific in mind, so then we'll go out and have to like try and find that from somewhere, or it might be that we're just looking at a new collection from a supplier. They quite a few of them will have like a summer range or a winter range, and then it might be we see something within that collection that we really like, and then sometimes we'll like just try to buy it all basically, so that we could just clear that line from their range, so that we've just got it for the kit if we really like it, and then we'll sort of work out afterwards what we're actually going to do with it, because it can quite often be quite hard to get the right volume of fabric to make all of the kits. Some of them are like ex-designer fabrics as well. So then the supplier will just have like a limited amount of them. But yeah, sometimes we do make a sample to check how it will work. So this is a clue actually for the August kits, is that one of the fabrics that we're going to be using for the pattern that we've chosen in the August kits is not a typical fabric that you would use for that pattern, or that's on like the recommended list from the pattern company of fabrics that you would use. So we thought, we think it could work, we think it could look nice. Then we did make up a sample to check that it would be, it would be suitable and nice. But if it's like, in the past, say we've done like a jersey t-shirt before, then like generally we kind of know when we buy that fabric it is going to work, so we wouldn't necessarily do a sample to check that we're going to use it or not. So yeah, it just sort of varies. I hope you find that interesting anyway. Okay, if a pattern is saying to use seam tape interfacing, can I stay stitch instead? I just started my project and I don't have any. Yeah, you could do. Just be really careful when you're stay stitching that you don't. It is still possible to stretch things out when you stay stitch, and quite often you'll see in instructions that it will tell you to stay stitch in two parts. So like say starting at the shoulder and then stay stitching in that direction, then you have to flip the bit of fabric over and then stay stitch from this direction down, and that's just so that it feeds through the machine in the same way, and that the fabric's getting sort of treated in the same way, so it doesn't distort or stretch at all. So yeah, you can do, just be careful. The peppermint peplum top, which is a free pattern, what would you pattern has a V back, and I found the binding method really good, so you could check that out and see if you could make it work for your pattern. Okay, so on the question that was asking about bias binding on a V neckline, you could check out the peppermint peplum top, which might show you how to do that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so the next one was tips on neatly sewing elastic waistband on trousers, not the channel elastic, the sew on type. I actually meant to bring some of this over. I'm just going to run and get it. It is very close by. So I'm presuming that you mean like this kind of fancy elastic where it's not, you're not going to hide this kind of elastic. This would just sort of be visible. I have to say I haven't ever seen this getting used on trousers before. It usually would get used on skirts. But yeah, what I've done before when I've been making something with this, I really need another end to sort of show you. I wonder if I can explain it, as I'll just like join it in a loop, and then like sew the seam there, and then I'll just open up the seam allowances like that so they're flat, and then top stitch it down, so then it just makes it sort of sit flat there and kind of flattens it out, so then you've got your loop, and then you're just stitching that on. You could either use Mariflex thread with a straight stitch so it would stretch, or you would have to use like a stretch stitch or a zigzag stitch or whatever. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay, I was thinking of the Pomono pants, not Persephone. Okay, I can't remember what the kimono pants ones are again. Are they more like loose fitting? Aloha from Hawaii. Hello. Gutted to miss the first 20 minutes. We'll catch up later. Yeah, don't worry, because I posted to Instagram and then you can always watch it on YouTube tomorrow as well. Okay, the next one was not a question, more a statement. Understand all the different denims. So that's a really good question. I do actually have a blog and a video that is all about that. So see if you go to the website and you put in the search bar understanding denims, it'll come up with my blog post. It's got a video that's linked to it as well, where I talk about all the different denims and how to like wash them and tips for sewing with them and all that sort of thing. So I would suggest that you look at that, and it is a really good way to get a nice overview of all the different denims. Okay, the next one was, would you recommend Fibre Mood patterns? I've heard mixed reviews, so I'm a bit tentative. So I have made quite a few different Fibre Mood patterns, and I really like their designs. I feel like there's something a bit different, and the construction methods are sometimes like a little bit more unusual and different, and I really like that because it's maybe like a little bit more of a challenge and sort of something to work out. But I think a lot of people probably find that the instructions aren't really as in-depth or detailed as some of the other independent pattern companies that you might come across, and that some people can then find that a little bit harder if they're maybe not as experienced at sewing. So I would say probably with it, I usually find it doesn't really bother me too much, but I have done a lot of sewing and I've made lots of different garments, so then usually I can kind of sort of work stuff out anyway, so the instructions don't really bother me personally, but I know that other people just find them maybe like a little bit sparse. But in terms of like their designs and how the patterns come together and how they look and how they fit, I've always been really happy with them myself. So maybe it just sort of depends on how experienced you feel you are, or yeah, how happy you are to sort of try to kind of work some of the things out based on the instructions. Okay, somebody's asking, Lauren, why is my thread bunching underneath when I back stitch? I'm not sure. Is it doing it? Is it only when you back stitch? It might just be maybe the fabric's quite thin and you're right in the edge, so it's sort of getting all caught and bunched up, maybe something like that. Okay, someone's asking, have you still got the quilted jersey fabric you made your cozy fluffy cloud top in? I'm trying to think what one that was. I can't remember. Cozy fluffy cloud top, can you give me any more description, because I can't picture that one right now. Okay, somebody's saying, I find when I get to slightly more complicated parts of a Fibre Mood pattern, there's usually a video on their website to show that part. That's a good tip, I didn't actually know that. Good to know. So yeah, maybe that if you're worried about the instructions being a bit sparse, maybe that would sort of help you. Okay, the next question was, did you size down on your Donny shirt? So that was the Friday Pattern Company Donny shirt that I did a reel about it the other week, so you can see how it fits on if you have a look back on that reel. I did size down by one size, yeah. It was on your Instagram page with short sleeves. And the quilted jersey fabric. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm still not sure what one it was. Okay, the next question was, I struggle to imagine fabric in a pattern. Any tips? So I think this is quite common when you first start making your own clothes, and you know it's hard to see the link between looking at a pattern and like looking at the technical drawing of it, or like the little illustration. You think, actually, like, what is that even going to look like? So there's a few things that you can do to help you sort of get used to what things will look like. You can look at the hashtag for that specific pattern, or you can even just Google image it, like just Google image search for that pattern, and then you'll see various different versions that people have made, and that can start to give you an idea of what it might look like in different fabrics as well. And then the other thing that you can do is, I've done a couple of posts recently that are sort of similar format but on different types of garments. There's one that's all about different shirts and blouses that have got buttons all the way down the front, and then another one that's on different tops. And in those videos I just show you what different patterns look like and what all the different versions I've made up over the years in different fabrics. So it can be quite a good way to sort of get a general overview of what different fabrics look like made up into different patterns, because I know it is really hard when you just see a picture of a fabric and then like a technical picture of a pattern and you're trying to put the two together in your mind. You know, it is tricky, but I think the more you look at different examples of it, then you'll just start getting used to it a little bit more, because it's going, you know, it's going to take time for you to do lots of different combinations yourself to get used to that. So yeah, using what's already out there is good. Okay, the next, the Green Line Studio Linden top. That was quite a while ago that I made the linden. I'm trying to think, did I do one that was more recent? I don't think we do still have the fabric. It's been a while since I've made the linden, so I don't think I'm sorry, I don't think we've still got that fabric. What pattern is the blouse you're wearing, please? It's the Fibre Mood normal blouse with a few modifications, longer sleeves and longer bodice. Are you getting any more of the white scalloped fabric you made your Donny top out of? It's out of stock on your website. Yes, we have another roll on order, so I'm hoping it should be here within the next sort of week and a half to 2 weeks. I loved your blouse and top videos showing the different patterns, fabrics. Please do ones for dresses and ones for trousers. I know I'm like holding off doing one for dresses because I honestly feel like I actually don't really have that many dresses. I don't tend to wear a huge amount of dresses, although I do have some. But then thinking about it, I do have the Sewing Society sample dresses as well. So yeah, I probably could do one at some point. I just need to try and be a bit more organised about it, because I mostly wear blouses and shirts and tops. So then those ones were a bit easier for me to do. Okay, hi, what patterns would you recommend for beginners, please? The Tilly and the Buttons, Jamie pyjamas and Stevie top are quite popular ones for beginners, nice and easy. You don't need to worry about fitting too much and the instructions are good. Are you likely to be getting in any sheer fabrics? I can't think of any specific sheer fabrics that I've got on order at the moment, so probably no for that one. But maybe I have something already. Is there like a specific fibre type or like type of fabric, any other characteristics got other than sheer, and maybe I have something already. Okay, the next one was help on reducing the cleavage showing on a wrap top, please. So I would say that there's a few things you could maybe think about or try. One of them would be maybe to try and stop it from gaping as much. You could put some fram elastic in the seam, and that might help to sort of stabilize it a little bit so it doesn't like stretch out too much. Or it could be that you're going to have to sort of redraft the pattern a little bit to add on a little bit extra. So on your paper pattern, just sort of go from the neckline and just try and like curve it out a little bit more, and basically like add an extra bit on. So you know, put some paper at the back, spare pattern paper if you've got some. We sell dots and cross paper, or even just like greaseproof paper, baking parchment from the kitchen. You could use that too. Just draw like an extra bit on, and then just be aware that obviously if depending on how it's constructed, if it's got a facing or anything, then you'd have to redraft that as well. Okay, I saw the Norma in a sheer fabric with a lined bodice. The sleeves looked really good in a sheer fabric. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. I suppose we do have some, like embroidered cotton fabric. Actually, there's one that's like fairly close. That, you know, something like that you could maybe do that kind of idea with this kind of fabric. It's got lots of holes in it, so it's a little bit more sheer. So you could line that with a cotton voile or cotton lawn, but then leave the sleeves just like that. That might look nice. This one is the Ivory Eyelet Fans cotton fabric, and it also comes in white as well. Okay, so the next question on my list was, I have made the chalk and notch fringe dress in double gauze, and it's all looking really good except for the hem, as I had to press up before stitching, and although I used a pressing cloth, the hem looks wavy, and I wondered if hand washing the skirt might improve it. I suspect that it might be a little bit wavy if maybe it's been the hem's just too deep, because the hem on the fringe is very curved. So then what usually ends up happening is that as you press that back, because it's not like a straight bit of fabric, when you press it back, it's just that the bit that you press back is not fitting into the bit of fabric there, and that can kind of make it look wavy. So it might be that you need to narrow how much you've pressed it back by, and that could help a little bit. But just make sure that your iron is hot enough as well, and it's got water in it and steam, because steam, a nice hot steamy iron on double gauze will really like manipulate the fabric and kind of move it into place, and it should hopefully make it nice and smooth. But I feel like hand washing it is probably not going to significantly change it. Okay, the next one was, I'm a fairly new sewer and I've completed my first few projects, so tilling the buttons, Billie jumper, the PJs, Jamie, this is the PJs, the Stevie top and the assembly line cuff top. What's a good next project that could move me on but not be too difficult? So I was thinking probably something like the Friday Pattern Company Donny top is good because it's got a collar, and none of the things that you've done before has got a collar, so that might be quite good, because then you're getting used to just different shaped pattern pieces and constructing something, but you're still not having to worry about like fastenings or zips or anything, so that might be a nice one. The Helen's Closet Ashton top is another good one. It's got some bust stars, like a little bit more fitting than what you would have done in those other projects. And then if you did like the Tilly and the buttons one, you found those instructions quite good. The Lotta and the Indigo are other ones where there's just like different sort of construction elements, like there's gathers and you've got to do an elastic channel, and putting sleeves on as well on the Lotta. So yeah, that would be probably my suggestions that are, yeah, they're not going to be too difficult, but they're just like different types of things than what you would have done in those other projects. Okay, the next one was, I'm thinking of purchasing and making the Fibre Mood Ermine and Honey blouses. Good choices, I've made both of them, they're really nice. I would say that I'm a beginner to advanced beginner, and I've made quite a few things. I'm always willing to try new things, but do you think it would be too difficult for my current skill level? I always find questions like this quite difficult to answer, because this can be very subjective, and somebody's interpretations of their own skill level can be very different as well. But I think if you're a confident beginner and that you're up for a challenge and you're not too freaked out by making mistakes, then, you know, I would say probably, yeah, go for it, have a go. I would say maybe the ermine is a bit easier than the honey, only because the honey blouse has a stand collar and like a proper collar, and then it's the get my words out. The sleeve hems are like a little bit more fiddly. There's more to do there, so the ermine one's probably a bit easier between the two. But yeah, give it a go if you're feeling confident. Okay, someone's asking, could you cut the front of the Donny top on the fold to the start of the collar to eliminate the seam? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. I don't know if you could. I'm going to say no to that one. I'm going to say no. Okay, somebody's asking again, what blouse is it you're wearing? Thank you. It's the Fibre Mood normal blouse, but I lengthened the sleeves and lengthened the bodice. The Artist Garden viscose sateen, would it work for the Tilly and the Buttons mabel as a top? Yes, I think that would be really nice. It's a lovely, lightweight, very nice soft fabric. I think it would look lovely in that. Okay, the next question was, can you explain why you say wide leg trousers look like pyjamas and how to avoid it? Is it the fabric or the size of the print? I want to make the Tilly and the Buttons Esti set, but would like a floaty non-viscose fabric. What would you advise, please? Okay, I'm gonna say that the question of wide leg trousers looking like pyjamas, again, is probably like quite a subjective thing, and also what you personally feel pyjamas are for you, because everybody's pyjamas are like are a bit different, aren't they? But I personally feel like if a fabric is very lightweight and thin, and you're like wearing quite loose, kind of gathered waist, elasticated trousers, to me, if I wore that, I would feel like I'm wearing pyjamas, which is not a bad thing, okay? You can definitely wear like pyjamas in plain sight and not look like you're wearing pyjamas, but feel like you are because they're nice and comfy. I just feel like that's probably like kind of what my own personal pyjamas are like. Wide leg, you know, gathered / elasticated waist trousers and lightweight fabric. So then if I was to wear that during the day, I personally would feel like I'm wearing pyjamas. But I don't know, maybe if you wear a nightie to bed, and then you would wear those types of trousers in the day and you wouldn't feel like you're wearing pyjamas. So please do whatever feels comfortable for you, and don't let anybody, including me, tell you what is pyjamas, because everybody's interpretation is going to be different of that. But yeah, I would say if you want to make the Esti and you want a floaty fabric that's not viscose, then I did bring out some suggestions. Where have they gone? I would say that this one would probably be a nice option. It's sort of, you know, it's like fairly lightweight, but it's not got viscose in it. It's a cotton and linen, and it is the Ikatee Abstract Jacquard cotton linen fabric. So it's 75 cotton and 25 linen, and we do have it in a purpley colour and a coral colour as well. It's got a really nice texture to it, so I think that would look really nice and smart. And personally, if I made the Esti in this, I would feel like I wasn't wearing pyjamas, but that's just me. And or the other sort of more floaty option that you could go for as well with the Esti is a double gauze. That I would describe that as being floaty, but obviously it's not viscose, it's a cotton double gauze. So yeah, that would be my other option, my other suggestion there. Secret pyjamas for the win. Indeed, I agree. The honey blouse instructions were not brilliant if you did want the front ruffle. Yeah, I didn't, when I made my honey blouse, I didn't do the front ruffle. But yeah, that's good to know that maybe they're not straightforward. Okay, the next question was, Lauren, the bag you designed, does it have a seam in the bottom gusset? So this was the Lusk entire bag that was our kit for June, and yes, it does have a seam in the bottom. So it's basically like one bit of fabric for this side and one bit of fabric for this side, but you sew in what we call a clever corner here, and that's what gives it a sort of shape and its kind of 3D sort of texture and our structure. And then yeah, it does have a seam along the bottom there, so I hope that helps. Patterns that require you to line the bodice, should you line it in the same fabric or could you line it in a cotton if the main fabric is viscose? I would probably say try to match your lining as close as possible to the outer fabric. So we do, if the main outer fabric is a viscose, we do have just like a totally plain viscose that you could use as a lining for that. It's just the way in terms of like the wash and wear are going to be like slightly different. So if you combine a cotton with a viscose, it might end up distorting the fabric slightly as you sort of wear and wash the garment. Okay, right, the next question was fabric for the Deer and Doe eucalyptus jumpsuit. And I think this must be one of their newer ones. I'm trying to picture what it looked like as well. I always do this. I look up the patterns that I'm not familiar with, and then I'm like, yeah, I'll totally remember what that looks like to tell you now. Of course I can't, but I think it does have quite wide legs. But what I was thinking would be really nice for it, I've written in my notes, are the Serona linen, which comes in lots of different colours. I think that would be a nice sort of weight. I've got the navy Serona linen and the Zadie jumpsuit, and it's really, really nice. So I know that the Serona linen makes a really nice jumpsuit. And then the other nice option would be, this is the indigo linen cotton blend. So it's 55 linen and 45 cotton, and I thought that would be nice as well, nice for summer. So another option there. And then the next one, I had this one as well. This was the pinstripe cotton linen. I thought that might look nice as well. Soft indigo pinstripe cotton linen, and this comes in quite a few different colourways as well. And then the next one was, somebody wanted to see the difference between and colour of these two fabrics. So this is the pink basics, baby pink basics organic cotton jersey, and then this is the rose. So yeah, the pink is more like just like paler, sort of pastely baby pink, whereas this one is like a bit sort of, I wouldn't say it's brighter, it's just like a deeper pink. So yeah, hopefully that helps you to see both of the different ones there. And then the next one was, could you show the indigo check double-sided cotton gauze? That one is this one here, and it's got a check on, a sort of larger check on one side, and then in the reverse it's a different size check. So yeah, that's quite fun. You could sort of use either side as the right side, or kind of mix and match it across your garment. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully that helps. Okay, the next one was interesting ideas for a blue easy to sew fabric for a mabel dress for mother of the groom, please. So I was thinking that if you're wanting one that's easy to sew, cotton lawn is going to be easier to sew. I think the mabel does look really nice in a viscose, but viscose is a bit harder to sew, so cotton lawn is nicer, and then this one is nice and blue. This is the Fabric Godmother Jive Cotton Lawn fabric, and yeah, cotton lawn's just like a bit more stable. It doesn't slip or move around as much, but it is still really lightweight, and for that shearing elastic section, it'll just, you know, it'll gather up really nicely in that. So I thought that might be quite fun and a little bit different. And then the next question was plain and pattern fabric recommendations for the saguaro trousers, nothing too see-through. So I would say that my favourite type of fabric for the saguaro trousers, the Freddie Pattern Company trousers, is the viscose linen. I've got two versions of them in the viscose linen. This particular one here is the black, and it's just it's such a lovely weight. It's not a sheer or see-through at all, but it's really, really floaty, and it just hangs really beautifully. It's such a lovely fabric. So for plains, I would definitely suggest that. And then for a pattern, we've got a few viscose linen patterns, but I pulled this one over. I thought this would look really fun and cool as a pair of saguaro trousers. It's got quite a sort of big, larger scale kind of abstract print on it. And this one is the Graphic Jungle viscose linen fabric. It's 80 viscose and 20 linen. So I think that would hang really nicely in the saguaro trousers as well. And then the next one, we've got any pattern suggestions that could be made into a sleeveless woven PJ top, not as strappy as the Ogden cami. I would say the Helen's Closet Ashton or the Green Line Willow would be nice options for that. They're just sort of like kind of tank tops, but yeah, they do have quite wide straps there. The next one was fabric to line a cotton sateen dress, the Upton by Cashmerette. I would probably just say a plain cotton voile would be nice. If you just search cotton voile on the website, you'll see we've got a couple of just like regular plain colours, and that's quite a popular one for lining other types of cotton. And then the next one was recommendations for other patterns for the yarn dyed check that you made your Quilla top from, please. So that was this fabric here. This is it in the navy. My Quilla top was in the pink one, which we're getting more of in August. It's not available until then, unfortunately. So Jo, who works in the shop, has made a really lovely version of the assembly line cuff top out of this, but she didn't put the elastic in the cuffs, so she just left them, and they're just sort of nice and loose, and just hemmed them, and it looks really lovely. So that would work nicely. And then we did also use a pretty much exactly the same fabric to make the sew over it hinterland dress. That was one of the kits last year as well. So the video that went with that kit, you can still get that video as like a separate thing if you look at the videos section in the Sewing Society part of the website, and it tells you all like how to check match it basically, and how to match it across the front bodice. So you could make the hinterland with it as well. So yeah, a couple of ideas there for you. And then the next one was, I bought some pink pinstripe cotton linen yesterday in the shop to make Eve trousers. I'm now wondering if it's too thin and may look like PJs. Thoughts, please? I'm going to refer you back to my previous discussion on PJs. If I don't use it for the Eves, what else can I use it for? So it was, where did it go? It was this one here that you bought. And I don't think it's too thin for the Eves. I think it would be all right. I mean, it's going to feel summery because it is like a little bit lighter weight, but I think it would still look nice. On the question of it looking like PJs, I do really feel like it's quite a personal sort of thing. And if you feel like you're going to be wearing PJs, then and that's going to then put you off wearing it, then I would maybe suggest doing something else with it. It would be really nice for lots of different like little tops and blouses. The Donny top would look nice in this. Yeah, if you have a look at my tops blog post and video that I did recently, there's loads of different top patterns that you could use for it in there as well. It is a really nice sort of versatile fabric for the summer. But I think you could make the Eves in it. I would just have a little think about the PJ thing. I don't think it would look like PJs, I think it's just gonna look like summer trousers, but yeah, that is it. Yeah, I do think quite a personal thing. Okay, I just bought that fabric to make a bi skirt. That sounds really nice. The gingham viscose linen, lovely. Okay, the next question was, I've just ordered the Ikatee Adult Vic Cardigan pattern and would like to know a fabric you would recommend. So I brought a couple of options over for this one. I thought you could either go plain with something like this. This is quite a nice sort of light bright one for summer as well. This is the mint marl fleeceback sweatshirt fabric, and it's fairly lightweight, but it's got a nice soft cozy fleecy back. So maybe if you're looking for a cozier layer for summer, that would be a nice one. And then this one's probably feels like a little bit lighter weight. This is a French terry, so it's not got the brushed back to it. It's got all the loops on the back, and it comes in a few different colours. This is just like a nice neutral grey colour. This is the marled grey cotton French terry fabric. Or if you're looking for a patterned one, this one was quite nice and bright and sunshiny yellow. This is the wind flower on mustard fleeceback sweatshirt fabric, and it's very similar in weight to the other one. So it's I would say it's fairly lightweight, and then it's brushed a little bit in the back, so it's nice and soft and cozy on the back. Fabrics for summer toaster or linden, please. All of the ones I just showed would be nice for that, nice for a summer linden or a toaster. And then the last one was I'm going to jump to this question and then come back to the other one. What fabric would be good for the Aster tee, preferably light for summer? It says 20% stretch and to avoid drapey fabrics. So this is a French navy pattern, and it's just quite a sort of loose, sort of simple oversized t-shirt pattern that's looked like it had quite a drop sleeve, maybe in a cuff where you could put out like a longer sleeve on it. But I was thinking this one would be quite nice. This would also be nice for a summer toaster as well. This is the wide striped ecru and navy cotton loop back jersey fabric, and I think it would be nice. It would sort of hold its structure really well. I've got a Jennifer Lauren handmade gable top out of this as well, which is really nice. I wear it a lot. I've not been wearing it because it's been too hot recently, but yeah, I really like it, and that's a lovely fabric. But then the other option for that Aster tee would be the organic cotton basic jerseys that I showed earlier, which come in lots of different colours, and cotton jersey tends to hold its shape and structure a little bit more. It's not too drapey, so I think if you're looking for something that does hold its stretch a little bit more, then that would be a nice option. And then the final question that I've got here would be, do you think the yarn dyed check linen viscose would be good for the Atelier Scamet Delice top, or would it look odd with the pleated shoulder? If okay, it says 1.2 meters required. How much extra would you recommend for pattern matching the side seam and shrinkage? I would say maybe just round it up to 1.5 meters and you should be fine with that. So that was this one here, and it's just quite a simple top, but it does, at the shoulder seam, it does just have some like little kind of pleats and tucks. I think it would be fine. I think it would look nice. You know, the fabric's like lightweight enough that it's not going to be like bulky or anything when you have those little pleats. So yeah, I think it would look nice. I think it would be good. So if you've got any other questions that you want to ask, please drop them in here now, and I'll just check that I haven't missed any other ones here. Would it be possible to make the Fibre Mood without the buttons and button placket, please? I mean, I think you could, but you'd have to adapt it quite a bit. I think if you want something that's got that kind of shaped neckline, then I would probably say the grain line, what's it called? Hadley. The grain line Hadley is probably quite similar to that, and it has a centre front seam. That's probably an easier way to achieve that rather than noisy motorbike outside. Probably an easier way to achieve that rather than trying to like really adapt something. The new sportswear fabric, would it be okay for the Avery leggings? Sorry if I already answered. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. I did already answer, but that's okay, don't worry. All right, so unless anybody else has got any other questions they want to ask or anything like that, then please fire them in there now. But otherwise, I've got to the end of all my questions there. Now remember, the new kits will be out on Wednesday at midday. I'm really excited for these ones. I always have like a little tradition on the kit release days that I wear the kits on those days. So I'm like looking forward to my outfit that I'm going to be wearing on Wednesday. I don't know, it's like a lot, you know, when you just get into these like sort of habits, and then I'm not particularly superstitious, but I don't know, it's just like a thing that I have to do when we release a kit. I have to wear what it is. I feel like I need to sort of channel the positivity like out into the universe by wearing these outfits. So yeah, I'm excited to show you them. I really hope you like them. And yeah, that you see them and get excited about them as being like an extra, kind of like an extra oomph for you to like really build up your sewing skills. And you know, you can use them to really like bring your sewing on a little bit, because we give you the videos that go with it that are very like specific to the fabrics that are included in the kit as well. So then you get a lot of extra like help and support, and the Facebook group for the kits has just been really good. There's so many members in there now that are very supportive, so it's always a really good way that if you can speak to other people that are making like exactly the same projects as you, and they can give you like help and advice as well. So yeah, I hope that you like them when you see them at midday on Wednesday. Any tips for pattern matching stripes? I'm about to start cutting out a striped jersey on the Friday Pattern Company Westcliff dress. I would say cutting out on the single layer is pretty important when you're cutting out stripes, because you can just be in much better control of the stripes. And the other thing that I quite often do when I'm cutting out stripes as well is that I'll mark additional lines on the pattern that are parallel and at 90 degrees to the grain line. So I'll almost like turn my pattern piece into like a bit of a grid, and then you can use those lines to make sure that you're lining that up with the stripes on the fabric as you're cutting it out, and that makes sure that the stripes are going to stay like really nice and either horizontal or vertical, like whatever way your stripes are in your fabric when you're cutting out. And then if you've got like two bits to cut out, or maybe it's like something on the fold, is like cut it out on the single layer, and then when you come to cut out the other half, see it's like the bodice is on the fold or whatever, or the back bodice, and then sort of flip it over so that you can then get the stripes like identical on the other half of what you're cutting out. So you're sort of using what you've cut out first as almost as like a bit of a guide and a template for cutting out the rest of it, because you can make sure that the lines are all lined up. So I would say probably cutting out stripes, like it does take longer, but if you really go through, like really take your time with it and you know, take your time getting it cut out and sort of think it through, it makes construction much easier, and you can use stripes to your advantage to help you in terms of getting things lined up and everything. So yeah, we're just like a little bit of extra patience there. Thanks, I'm feeling very inspired. Oh, that's good. Thank you, Lauren, for more sewing inspiration. You're more than welcome. Thank you for another wonderful Insta Live. Have you sewn down your facing on your normal blouse? Yes, I did. I turned under the inside edge there and then top stitched it down. Are there any sewing patterns that you recommend? Maybe one someone would usually flick past but make lovely garments. I would suggest taking a look at the blog post that I did for the shirts, the shirt roundup and then the top roundup as well, because I think when you see different garments made up in different fabrics, you know, you're always going to like relate to something different, aren't you? So then, you know, the pattern companies will like photograph modelled samples of it or whatever, but it's not always necessarily that like you might identify with those photos, or like the fabric might not totally be like something that you like. And sometimes it can be easy to then disregard a pattern just because you're not, you know, it doesn't, the photos that you see of it are inspiring. So then when you see it made up in something else, or you see it made up in a different way, and then you might sort of identify with that a bit more, or just sort of relate to that a bit more and be like, oh, actually I've seen that pattern in a different light. So yeah, I would suggest taking that out. Thank you for your suggestions. Have a lovely week, everybody. Okay, well, yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. I do hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next week. And then actually next week, will be the last week, and then I'm going to be off for a week. But yeah, I will see you next Monday anyway. So have a good week, everyone, and yeah, I'll see you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you soon. Bye.